Shiv, do you think this tri-services briefing that was also interestingly bilingual to a lot of questions that was asked to Lieutenant General Puri, he said, I'll answer it in Hindi, of course referring to certain youngsters who come from the states where the violence has broken out. Do you see the significance of this as a high priority of this briefing to try and give out that explanation? And do you see that making any difference perhaps in the days to come?
Well, the fact that India Today is the most watched channel on this story, and the fact that, the military and the government know that they need to speak in Hindi for this to reach out to the people who are actually indulging in the violence and who have been misled with misinformation and fake news is very plain to see, Pooja. And I think that was precisely the point of this press conference, because this is a situation that has rapidly gone out of control. The government has not been able to control the violence. This is no longer just a procedural issue where, there are some grievances and some misgivings in certain quarters or on social media. This is people burning trains, damaging buses, endangering the lives of common Indians in different parts of the country, and something that, where the government cannot sit on its hands on. Fielding press conferences of this kind is one thing. Saying the message in Hindi is another, of course, obviously, because through social media, through WhatsApp, these messages will obviously go out. But at the end of the day, the clear message that has to go out and has put it out in no uncertain terms is that anyone who has decided, no matter what the circumstance, to take the law into their own hands and damage national property, they can never dare to call themselves soldiers. Forget about aspiring to one. So that's a clear message, I think, that's going to go out.
Shiv, because constantly all the veterans we are getting in touch with them for their reactions as well. Colonel G.S. Sodhi is joining me right now on this live telecast. Shiv, if there's a question you would also like to ask him about this tri-services briefing, he's joined us right now over the phone line. Shiv, would you like to take the first question? Okay, so I'll go across to Shiv in just a short while. Colonel G.S. Sodhi, I'm Pooja Shali here. How do you see the significance of this briefing? Because all the questions that were put to all the senior officers here were very specific and very pertinent and referred to the violence. But do you think saying no rollback, no space for indiscipline are pointers that needed to be said today, sir? Lieutenant Colonel G.S. Sodhi, I correct myself here, sir.
Jai Hind, Pooja, it's my honor to be on a news channel. The press briefing by the senior officers of the Indian Armed Forces has been a very good step, and it has cleared many doubts that were spread in the air by various people. With this press conference, all the nitty-gritties of this scheme have been explained to everyone in a very, very clear and precise manner. With this press conference, I am sure there will be no further doubts left. And like General Puri rightly said, there is no place in the armed forces for anyone who does arson, and it is a very welcome, clarity given from them, because being an ex-army person, I can tell you, anyone who has been in the armed forces or is serving the armed forces will have the highest respect, whether it is for the national property or for the national name of the country. So this press conference has been a very, very welcome step.
Lieutenant Colonel, I also do have a question here. Do you think, because this question was put to the officers as well, that because the violence is taking place right now, most of it is being provoked and misled to these young aspirants who may not have had the knowledge completely of the details? And here, when we were staying through this press conference, we could see that the senior officers are stating that give it time. And do you think that also that clarity needed to come, because the youngsters, of course, were caught off guard? Do you think a lot needs to be said over the next few days so that there's constant clarity coming in for all the questions here, Lieutenant Colonel?
Definitely, Pooja, this Agnipath scheme is the biggest defense reform in 75 years of our independence, because this is one reform which is affecting every soldier, sailor and airman of the Army, Navy and the Air Force. Apart from the various benefits which the senior officers explained in this press conference, it is going to be very good for the youth as well as for the society. So overall, it is a very, very, a win-win situation for everyone in this country. The youth who have been protesting, they were misled, they didn't quite understand the scheme, and that is the reason that we have seen, violence in various places. That is totally unjustified. It is their democratic right to protest, definitely, but not in a violent manner. Through your channel, I would request all of them, all the political parties, to not fan the fire. They should stop the violence immediately. And the interested youth should now start preparing in right earnest for the recruitment process under the Agnipath scheme, which is commencing from 24th June for the Indian Air Force.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel J.S. Sodhi, telling us exactly how the armed forces work and how at least this needs to be looked at the way that these are reforms. There needs to be a change that has come after 75 years, and it will take some time. It will take some time for there more clarities to come in, and we will be staying with this coverage. Remember, it concerns everyone across India. It concerns our armed forces. And one of the biggest highlights, biggest takeaways from today's press briefing was no rollback for the Agnipath scheme. Listen in.
Coming to rollback of the scheme, no. And why should it be rolled back? It is the only progressive step to make the country young. Why is it being made young? We are tinkering with Desh ki Raksha. There is no space. एक ही सिर्फ है देश की रक्षा करने के लिए, और देश की रक्षा करने के लिए मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूं. पता है कितनी कैजुअलिटीज आती हैं जस्ट फॉर हेल्थ पर्पसेस फ्रॉम हाई एल्टीट्यूड एरियाज. आप पढ़िएगा, ओके, तो तब आपको पता चलेगा यंग क्यों जरूरी है, ओके, एंड क्या जरूरत है उसकी. तो ये रोल बैक करने की तो मेरे तरफ से तो आपको कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि बिल्कुल रोल बैक नहीं.